Hello everybody, welcome back. I hope you are doing well. Today we're going to continue with the series of Little Nightmares 2, but it's going to be the last video for the chapter of the school part 1. Okay, so today we're going to actually tell the story, we're going to narrate it, and it's the last time you're going to see me, until the next video obviously. So let's agree on some basic rules and let's keep it simple. So the most important thing for this story is the fluency. Okay, so you need to sound natural and you need to sound fluent, because if we are telling something like a story on something that happened to us earlier during the day, we do it too slowly, then it's not really reflecting our upper intermediate or advanced level. So always aim for fluency, and the mistakes are secondary. Okay, and actually this in second place we have the details. So provide as many details as possible. Describe the settings. Every time Mono and Six are in a new room, describe a little bit about that room. Okay, and also we need some linking words to connect our ideas, connect our sentences, but also connect ideas within the sentence. For example, we need to use then, after that, immediately, suddenly, right away, etc., to connect the sentences, but within the sentences, instead of just saying Mono did this and then Mono did that, etc., so it doesn't sound like square wheels, it doesn't sound robotic. We could use words like as, while, when, which, to connect different ideas within the same sentence. Okay, so try to be fluent, try to be as detailed as possible, and use the English you know. You don't have to tell the story exactly the same way I'm telling it. You can do it better than I do, but this is only one version of it. Okay, okay, so let's start. First, Mono and Six were running in an alley towards a heavy dumpster filled with plastic bags of garbage, and grabbed the handle to pull it away from the mesh fence, uncovering a hole in it. Then they sneaked through the hole into the school playground, where you could see a couple of goals, some benches, a seesaw, a swing, and a tire swing. Hanging from an open window, there was an escape rope made of bed sheets tied in knots, so they used it to climb up to the third floor. Inside the hallway there were some cupboards, wall-mounted clothing racks with coats and backpacks, a burning garbage bin, and a strange picture of a teacher with two holes in her eyes at the end of the corridor. Immediately Mono pulled down the knife switch in order to turn off the lights. However, there were still two beams of light coming out of the painting's eyes. Thus, Mono and Six went to a nearby dorm room with bunk beds to get a tin, and after going back to the corridor, the boy threw it at the painting frame. Upon falling to the floor, the painting uncovered a hole in the concrete wall, and the two beams of light were coming from a light bulb on the ceiling. The hole led to the torture room, where some hardware tools in the corner, like a saw, pliers, and a wooden mallet, could be found. Additionally, there was a chair with a rope around it in the middle of the room, as well as a spoon, some shoes, and underpants. The children began to bounce on the hatch cover, and they had to get in sync to break the lock and get into the basement. They followed the ventilation shaft, removing or taking out the vent grill blocking their way out. Finally, they ended up in a hallway full of lockers and a shadow of a strange creature making weird noises. In the next room, Mono jumped over the protruding wooden plank on the floor to avoid the booby trap. Then the children crouched below the hanging lamp strip and under the furniture obstructing their way. They kept on going, dodging the booby traps, while the bullies were lurking in the corridor and peeking behind the lockers, patiently waiting for Mono and Six to take the bait. The children pushed the door and entered the storage room, but the metal bucket almost fell on Mono, and the bullies stopped their progress by closing the vent lid. So they went through the corridor, where Mono finally stepped on one of the protruding wooden planks, which triggered the booby trap. However, he managed to steer clear of the locker. Then he climbed the fallen locker to get to the next room, where they had to crouch to avoid getting crushed by the hanging lamp strip, triggered by another protruding wooden plank. In the next room, Mono spotted a mullet lying on the carpet and ran towards it, when suddenly, on his way, a locker fell onto him and trapped him inside. It was all an ambush set up by the bullies to surround and kidnap the girl. The mullet was just a bait, and Mono fell for it. Mono got out from under the locker and immediately tried to chase after the bullies. However, it was too late, as they used the rope ladder to get to the upper floor. Therefore, Mono had no other choice but to keep going forward. He grabbed the mullet and sneaked behind the nosy bully standing by the door and peeking into the next room to smash his porcelain head. In the following room, another bully was playing around with the dissected frog, so Mono decided to draw his attention and lure him into a chase, during which the bully stepped on the plank, triggering the booby trap as the metal bucket full of heavy concrete debris smashed him into pieces. Mono followed the hallway past an elevator and a cloakroom, all the way to the classroom, where a terrifying teacher was scribbling gibberish with a piece of chalk on the blackboard, and the porcelain students were sitting quietly at their desks. Mono sneaked stealthily past the bullies into the storage room full of file cabinets. There he spotted a key on top of a bookcase, so he began climbing it, but his weight made it tip over, and the fall made such a loud noise that it drew teacher's attention. As Mono hid in the file cabinet drawer that was flipped over, the teacher opened the door and drastically stretched her neck to take a look around the room. After the teacher left and shut the door, Mono grabbed the key and sneaked through a hole leading to a cabinet back in the classroom. he sneaked behind the teacher and under the desks, making his way to the other side of the classroom. But just as he got near the shoe rack, the teacher spotted him and tried to snatch him. He managed to run out of the classroom and the teacher stretched her neck again, but this time she wasn't able to reach him. Then Mono inserted the key into the elevator padlock and at the last moment dodged the bully who was trying to attack him. The elevator doors closed before the bully could get to him. On the next level, on the next floor, he saw a bully with a paper cone on his head, scribbling all over the blackboard and the floor with a piece of white chalk. He was kept on a leash tied in a knot around a metal anchor right below the blackboard. Upon noticing Mono, he went berserk and charged at him, but the leash ran out of slack and got taut, ferociously jerking him by the neck to the floor. Right away, Mono took advantage of this to grab the nearby pie piece and smashed Bully's porcelain head with it. Then he proceeded to break the door with the pipe and follow another ventilation shaft. He plunged from the vent shaft and landed awkwardly on several wooden planks, making a couple of bottles fall all the way down where the teacher was. She extended her neck upwards to see what was going on, but the boy stayed hidden in a nearby box. As she left, he kept on walking on the wooden beam, picked up an empty jar obstructing his way, and put it aside so as not to draw teacher's attention. Then he climbed the escape rope of bedsheets to get to the upper level, where he had to tip over a standing plank in order to get out through another ventilation shaft. He now found himself at the library, surrounded by giant bookcases, while the teacher was lurking behind them. So he slid the rolling ladder to the right until the end of the track and climbed it to get on top of a shelf. However, as he landed on top of a bookcase, a pile of books fell from the impact, and the noise alerted the teacher, who stretched her neck in between two bookcases and intended to sink her teeth into the boy, but she missed as the boy grabbed the ledge of another bookcase and pulled himself up to make his way between the books and through a narrow passage. As he came out on the other end, he saw a couple of high pillars of stacked books tied with a rope, or fastened with a rope. As he leaped onto them, a couple of books fell down, and he had to move side to side to steer clear of the teacher's gaze. she finally left the room and shut the door behind her. But Mono decided to follow her as he dragged a crate full of books. He stood on it to reach the door handle and open the door. Well, this is it. This is our story. You can use the first video of the series to practice telling the story. Remember, the most important thing is the fluency, okay? And be as detailed as you can and try to incorporate the vocabulary. You can play some games like the game of the quiz, where you could practice the vocabulary, but also parts of the story. I'll leave some links in the description. There's another game where these are pieces of the story and you put them in order. And the third game is the audio activity, where you connect pieces of the story told by different people with different accents, and you connect them to the animations from the story. Okay, so I hope it was useful for you. This is good for our upper intermediate and advanced levels, and I'll see you for the next video, and it's going to be a different topic. Have a nice day. Bye everybody.